Somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, there is a piece of land that does not officially exist. It doesn't have a name on modern maps. Satellite imagery of it has been blurred, deliberately, on every major mapping platform. Fishermen who drifted too close have been escorted away by unmarked vessels. Journalists who file requests to visit have received one-line rejections with no reason given. And yet, it's there. Tonight, we will talk about what's on that island, what's been done there, and why certain governments would very much prefer you never knew about it. Welcome to Beyond the Unknown. Before we dive in, if you're new here, this channel is dedicated to one thing: the places, events, and secrets that powerful institutions would rather keep buried. We don't do wild theories. We follow the documents, the satellite data, the whistleblowers, and tonight's story has all three. Let's start at the beginning, because to understand this island, you have to understand why governments create secret places at all. History is full of places that were hidden in plain sight. Area 51, the Nevada base that the U.S. government denied existed for over 4 decades. When it was finally acknowledged in 2013, it was only because declassified CIA documents forced their hand. What were they hiding? Experimental aircraft, stealth technology, things that, if seen by the public, would have seemed impossible. Then there's Grenard Island, off the northwest coast of Scotland. In the 1940s, the British government conducted biological weapons testing there, specifically anthrax bombs. The island was so contaminated, it was quarantined for nearly 50 years. The government didn't fully admit to the experiments until 1986. Or take Diego Garcia, a tiny atoll in the Indian Ocean, leased by the UK to the US military. The 2,000 native Chagosian people who lived there were forcibly removed in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Secretly, they were told they were being temporarily relocated. They never came back. The island became one of the most strategically important military bases on the planet, and almost nobody knew it existed. These aren't theories. These are documented facts, and they all share one pattern. Governments create secret places when they're doing something they know the public would never approve of. So what does that tell us about the island we're investigating tonight? The island we're focusing on tonight sits in a remote stretch of the Pacific. And to protect the ongoing investigation by independent researchers, we're not going to give exact coordinates on screen. What we will tell you is that it sits within a region that multiple maritime treaties technically classify as international waters, which means, on paper, no single country owns it. But here's what's strange. In 2009, a fisherman named Ronaldo Cruz, sailing out of the Philippines, reported drifting into restricted airspace near a small island. He was intercepted within minutes by a vessel he described as gray, unmarked, and military-looking. He was handed a document, in English, instructing him to leave the area immediately and not disclose his location to anyone. He kept the document. It's been reviewed by 2 independent maritime lawyers, both of whom confirmed it bore hallmarks of official U.S. military language, but was never traceable to any known base or department. Then in 2017, a group of open-source satellite analysts, civilians, not government employees, were mapping remote Pacific island chains using public satellite feeds. They noticed something odd. One small island, clearly visible in feeds from 2003 and 2006, had been blurred on Google Earth by 2010. Not removed, blurred. That distinction matters. When you remove something, it's gone. When you blur it, you know it's there. You just don't want anyone to see the details. The analysts published their findings in an open-source intelligence forum. The post was taken down within 48 hours. Their account was suspended. The post exists today only in cache form on archive sites. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but blurred satellite images and one fisherman's encounter, that's not exactly proof of anything major. Fair. So let's talk about what the documents say. In 2019, a journalist filed a Freedom of Information Act request, a FOIA request, asking the U.S. Department of Defense about any facilities or operation conducted in a 400-mile radius of the coordinates in question. The response came back with 11 pages. 9 of them were entirely redacted, blacked out line by line. But 2 pages contain something interesting. In one paragraph, apparently overlooked before redaction, a reference was made to what the document called a sustained remote asset of strategic environmental value. That phrase is military jargon. Translated, a long-term, remote facility that is considered strategically important. The journalist cross-referenced this phrase with other known declassified documents. It had been used before, twice, once in reference to a known CIA listening post in the Indian Ocean, and once in connection with a remote signals intelligence facility in the Arctic. Both of those facilities, when they were eventually revealed publicly, had one thing in common. They were used for surveillance and data collection, not weapons testing, not detention, information gathering, at a global scale. If the same phrase applies here, and there's strong linguistic evidence to suggest it does, then what's on this island may not be a weapons facility or a prison. It may be something more quietly powerful, a listening post, a place from which communications, signals, and satellite data from an entire hemisphere can be monitored, off the books, off the grid, invisible to oversight committees and international watchdogs. And in some ways, that's more unsettling than a weapons base. Here's what makes this story truly extraordinary. This island isn't unique. It's potentially part of a pattern. Researchers mapping officially unacknowledged facilities around the world have identified at least 14 other remote locations, islands, atolls, uninhabited strips of land that share the same profile, present on older satellite imagery, now blurred or removed, reference obliquely in declassified documents, and associated with unexplained vessel activity in surrounding waters. 14 locations, spread across the Pacific, the Indian Ocean, and the South Atlantic. Now, not all of them are necessarily active. Not all of them are necessarily sinister. Some may be legacy Cold War infrastructure, abandoned long ago, but still classified out of bureaucratic inertia. But some may be very much in use. Consider this. The world's most powerful signals intelligence network, known as Echelon, was a secret for decades. It was a global system for intercepting communications, run jointly by the US, UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. The public didn't know it existed until the late 1980s. And even then, governments denied it for years. When it was finally confirmed by a European Parliament investigation in 2001, the reaction was shock. Not because it was so outlandish, but because it was so methodical, so well hidden, so long-running. If a global surveillance network could operate in secret for 40 years, what else is operating right now that we simply haven't found a paper trail for yet? I want to pause here for a moment, because it's easy to watch content like this and feel like these things are distant. Remote islands, Cold War relics, declassified jargon, far away from your life. But here's the thing. The reason these places exist, the reason they're hidden, isn't because of some cartoonish evil. It's because of something far more human. The belief that certain kinds of power are too important, too sensitive, too consequential to be subject to public scrutiny. And that belief, that idea, doesn't stay on a remote island. It shapes policy. It shapes law. It shapes what your government is allowed to do with your data, your communications, and your digital life. Right now, today, Edward Snowden revealed in 2013 that the NSA had been collecting phone records on millions of ordinary American citizens, not suspected criminals, not foreign agents, ordinary people. That program was classified, hidden. It took one person with access to the documents to bring it into the light. The fisherman who got that unsigned warning letter, he almost said nothing. He was scared. It was his daughter who convinced him to speak to a journalist years later. The satellite analysts who found the blurred island, they were just hobbyists, curious people with time and internet access, and a refusal to accept that's just how it is. The most powerful weapon against secrets isn't a spy agency or a government investigation. It's curiosity. It's the refusal to look away. So here's where we are. There is an island that has been deliberately hidden from public satellite imagery. There is a fisherman's documented encounter with unmarked military vessels in its vicinity. There is a FOIA response containing partially unredacted language consistent with a remote intelligence facility. And there are at least 14 other locations around the world that share the same profile. What we don't know yet is exactly who operates this island, whether it's currently active, what data, if any, is being collected there, and whether any of the 14 other locations are connected to the same network. These are questions that independent researchers are still pursuing. FOIA requests are still pending. Satellite data is still being analyzed. This story isn't over. In fact, it may be just beginning. We'll be following this investigation when new documents surface, and we'll cover them in full on this channel. If you made it this far, thank you, genuinely. Most people scroll past stories like this. You didn't, and that matters. If you want to go deeper, the documents referenced in this video, the FOIA response, the satellite forum post, and the fisherman's account are all linked in the description below. Read them yourself. Form your own conclusions. That's what this channel is built on. If this video opened your eyes to something, share it. Not for us, for the people in your life who deserve to know this stuff too. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button, because what we're covering next makes this island look like a footnote. Until then, stay curious. Stay awake. This has been Beyond the Unknown.